Oh my goodness, we're back again. It is the O Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, CW. Thank you so much for listening. Hit that bell on YouTube and subscribe to the podcast on any and all platforms. And don't forget to tell a friend about the show because, man, I feel like I'm talking to myself out here, out in the ether, just like putting out this stuff and it's just floating around. But whatever. It's cathartic to me. It's like a therapy, wrestling therapy. Anyway, today's topic is there a right way to enjoy professional wrestling? Is there a correct way to enjoy an episode of Raw? Is there a right way to watch a match? I hear, Dave Meltzer gives 5-star ratings to certain matches and people hold that rating in pretty high regard. I don't particularly know what those 5 stars encompass. I've never looked it up. I've never cared to. I'm the type of guy who continuously questions whether or not I even like wrestling. And not to say like, oh, I don't, enjoy segments on Raw or something or specific matches. But half of the time, I don't know if I'm even really watching wrestling. I know I'm enjoying it. And I think at my semi-advanced age, I'm not that old, I turn on an episode of Raw or SmackDown or a pay-per-view or something, and you hear the music kick on, and then there's always that opening segment of people just talking and rambling their mouth. And then at some point a match starts and you hear the music kick on, you're like, oh, okay, I like this person. Oh, they're wrestling this guy or this girl. Like, yeah, sure, this is good. And then I'll just kind of fade out. Like, I'll just tune out. I won't be watching the match completely. There's a part of me that I overanalyze things pretty regularly. And when I see a move not hit, exactly as it should have, or there's like a stutter step or an extra step or something, I feel awkward for the person. I don't know. It's the odd embarrassment empathy that I don't think they have. The person, they're performing. They're not embarrassed about what they're doing. But there's like whole segments of matches where I'll just tune out because I'm afraid that something's going to go wrong and I'm going to feel awkward for them. It's a very strange feeling. But then there's also this aspect of me not really caring how the match turns out. Like I find that I tune in for the entrance. Obviously, that's the most spectacle of any wrestling match. I watch spots, but I also watch for technical prowess or whatnot, but then I'll kind of fade away. I'll go on my phone or I'll, stare at the ceiling. I'll do anything else but watch. Like I'll go fix the trash cans or whatever, wash dishes while the match is going on, and I'll hear the commentators kind of talking about what's happening, and I'll put pieces together, but I won't actively try and watch the match. And then every match has that ebb and flow where it's coming to the end. I will then kind of refocus and be like, all right, how is this match going to end? I'll watch the finish and then I'll, wait for the next match to start. Is that the wrong way to watch them? I think there are obviously professional wrestling aficionados who like are super intent. Like they watch every moment of the match. And for them, that is enjoyable. And that is the way that they enjoy pro wrestling. But I don't enjoy it like that. I find that very few matches keep me engaged, and the ones that I actively like force myself to watch thoroughly, I have less enjoyment than if I were to do it like I normally do it. And I don't think that I'm asking the question of whether or not that's wrong. I'm just saying that if you do that as well, that it's okay. I'm not a professional wrestling, excuse me. Why would I do that directly into the microphone? I'm not a professional wrestler. I'm having a moment right now. I am not a professional wrestling expert. I'm a very casual fan. I've never moved out of the casual fandom. I love it. I love the personas. I love the spectacle, the music, the entrances, the vibe. They're superheroes, right? They go out there with their bright colors and they battle. Like there's a good guy versus a bad guy, or a good woman versus a bad woman, and they battle it out. And then at the end, either the good guy wins or the bad guy wins, or the good lady wins or the bad lady wins, and the people get to boo or they cheer, and they, they're like the third person in the match, right? The audience, and they kind of pull the ebb and flow, and they make you excited. And I love those aspects of it. But the actual matches, save a few, I never really get too deep into. And I brought up the Dave Meltzer 5-star rating is because that is like on the complete opposite end of where I enjoy wrestling, where it's very detailed and meticulous, where they kind of, I'm assuming, break down a match and kind of the spots in the match and how the two people have chemistry. I don't know. And I have no intention of looking up what the criteria is for the 5-star rating, but I've heard people hold it as like, oh, I got a 3-star match. That should have been a 5 and they get kind of really worked up. And hell, I might be even getting the Dave Meltzer part wrong. Who knows who does the 5-star? I don't know. I'm super casual about it. I don't particularly know, but I was on the gram and I saw a clip of two folks talking about Raw and how every episode of Raw is kind of the same. And the one lady, she was complaining that there was a lot of advertising and a lot of useless segments in between matches. And I would tend to agree. I mean, Raw takes up a 3-hour block. It doesn't need to. And sometimes you don't get, even enough wrestling to fill an hour. You have 3 hours and maybe there's like 45 minutes of wrestling in there. And the rest is just backstage segments, commercials, promos, people getting called out, video packages of what happened the week before. Like they fill the time. And I think a lot of people would say, you should fill that time with actual wrestling. I would agree. I think that's a more enjoyable time for fans, right? That's just a better time. But again, maybe some people do just enjoy that ebb and flow of maybe a match starts, or maybe, Shinsuke Nakamura's video package is going to play about Seth Rollins' back, or they'll show, a highlight clip of someone. Like they're doing this thing now where, and I'm veering wildly off course here, but I have 10 minutes to fill. They're doing this thing now where they will introduce someone's music will hit and they'll walk to the ring, and then they'll cut to commercial for 3 minutes and then cut back and the person's music will still be playing. And I'm always like, what is this like for the people in the arena? Just to hear this music on a loop, it must be irritating as hell, especially for the actual wrestler who has to stand there in the ring and pose and point and, move and gesture and all this stuff for 3 minutes until they're told that, we're back from commercial. That's just really weird. Why not just start and I get it. They're trying to entice you to come back, because commercials, you lose a lot of people. So they'll start a match where, here's this person's music. You want to watch, Chad Gable versus Gunther. So here's Chad's music and, Chad Gable versus Gunther next. And then they'll cut the commercial and entice you to come back. I just worked it out in my own head. That's exactly why they do it. I don't think it's a great thing for the people, in the arena. Definitely not an enjoyable experience, to kind of tie that back to what we're all talking about. But again, I don't know. Chad Gable versus Gunther is a perfect example of a match that I watched from beginning to end and thoroughly enjoyed, because both men always do the most and it's always entertaining. I love Chad Gable. I don't think he's underrated anymore. I think people understand how valuable and how awesome he is. And I love Gunther. The man puts on a show, and they had in my opinion, they had an old wrestling 5-star match. Now, what is the criteria for that? I do not know, but I know I enjoyed it. And I didn't enjoy a lot of other matches. So maybe I just enjoy some and not others. Who knows? Anyway, let me know in the comments if there's a right or wrong way to enjoy wrestling. I'll answer for you. There isn't. Thank you for listening to this rambling episode, and don't you ever forget.
I'm your friend, but if I ever see you in the ring, I can beat you. Don't you know? Yeah, yeah, yeah.